Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the NFL Roundup Podcast. I'm your co-host, John Hipso.
And I'm the other co-host, Shane Stanley.
And we're here to recap last week and preview the playoff matchups coming up this weekend. To get going, we kind of got an agenda here. I'll roll through it right quick. We got a weekly recap of 6 or 7 games. We got an honorable mention in there. The Colts and Jags, it was kind of a disappointment, but we'll get to it. The AB situation 2.0. You know, that shit show. Dallas's potential in the playoffs. Right? The number 1 pick. Was that worth the Jags tanking for? The coaching situation, where they all got fired and kept, and, you know, teams that are looking for a head coach. Our updated awards, who stays and who goes. Playoff matchups and analysis. And we make our picks. So, to jump right into it. Shane, you want to get going on the Chargers-Raiders matchup?
Yeah. First off, big pat on the back for making it to week 2.
We
didn't know if we were going to make it through one, so props to us. But yeah, so we'll start with probably the biggest game of the week. That ended up being the Sunday night game. It kind of matched up early Sunday, where Pittsburgh had beaten Baltimore and gave everybody a chance to get in, and it opened the door completely.
It threw a wrench in everything.
Yeah, so we thought this game, there's potential both of these teams could get in. We didn't think there was a shot, so it made for an interesting game.
I made a note here. It was at 4:36 in overtime. This is in my notebook. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh shitting pants.
Yeah, well, like there's a point when it had to be the start of the Raiders' drive when they kicked the winning field goal. I'm not sure when in overtime they started, but I was like, at what point are you coaching and you're looking across the sideline and you just give them a nod? Like, let's just get a tie here.
Subtlety that the cameras don't get. Yeah.
So the scenario matched up where if both teams had tied, they both got in. So it comes down to about 2 minutes left in overtime, and they're thinking, okay, if we just do nothing, we're both in.
And it looked to be heading that way.
It looked like they were going that way. Now,
the interim coach was like,
freaking out.
I'll take a playoff spot, sure. It's like,
right? Well, like, I mean, they just had to do nothing. And I seen something now. I didn't go back and check to validate this or anything, but I heard that the Chargers coach had called a timeout.
43 seconds left, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to like kicker or whatever the scenario was.
No, he was third down.
Oh.
So if they ran the ball again, it'd be on 4th down.
Yeah.
He was hoping to get the ball back with like 20 seconds left or something.
Right.
But the other coach was like, well, nobody can tell what would have happened.
It wasn't a short kick, so maybe he was thinking had he missed the kick, they get it around the 40, and then
with the time
they're only going about 30 yards to kick themselves. So maybe that was a scenario, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like it was close, and you know, we'll get to this a bit later in our picks. But both of us had the Chargers.
Yep.
And we were both very wrong in the AFC this week. I felt that it was a tale of two conferences completely, because the NFC, and again, we'll get to this later when we match up our playoff matchups, the NFC almost couldn't have came out better than what we had hoped, and the AFC went the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It went
total flip.
Downhill. There was a ton of upsets. So that was one of them. That was...
Yeah.
So just to quickly get to our honorable mention, just so we don't circle back, the biggest upset of the week. What happened to the Colts?
I don't know. Like, I look, and Jonathan Taylor's only got 18 touches in the game. Mm-hmm. To me, it's just like, how do you trust Carson Wentz to do the work that Jonathan Taylor's been doing all year?
And do you notice now his name isn't mentioned in the MVP?
No.
Whatsoever anymore. He's completely fallen out.
Offensive player of the year? Potentially. 20 touchdowns, 1,800 yards.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the past 3 or 4 weeks, really, I think ever since they beat New England a couple weeks ago, it's really been stagnant.
It has.
And even that game, he had that big run at the very end, and besides that, he was shut down for a large portion of that game. So he hasn't really been the major factor he was, I would say, around the time Derrick Henry went down to that game.
First 3 quarters of the season.
He was really like a big deal in running backs for sure, but throughout the whole league, he was one of the biggest stories. So that was a little bit disappointing to see out of them as a whole. I mean,
to me, it's just a mind-boggling loss. It just makes no sense.
The Jags front four was killing Carson Wentz all game. He didn't have a shot. He was...
And most of the game, they were only rushing 4.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind. It's like, if they're only rushing 4, give it to Taylor and just
get
him to 30 carries.
They do still have some core pieces on that defense from Saxonville back a few years ago when they made it to the AFC Championship, like Miles Jack. I think they have Calais Campbell on their front 4. Like they've got some core pieces still there that can cause havoc. We just haven't seen it, I guess, throughout the whole team. But so that was our honorable mention for that, because that is really the game that put a huge wrench into the entire AFC.
Yeah, and I think that game ended early, so the Steelers and Ravens they just knew that the doors left wide open by Carson Wentz. He's just inviting you into the playoffs.
Yeah, usually like around the stands, you see like the scoreboard is kind of like going around the upper bowl, and I mean like even like early in the third quarter, it was like 23-3. So I'm sure like they're looking up and they're seeing this, and like they were in a tight game. I mean, it went to overtime. They were in a tight game. They were behind a lot until the very end. That last touchdown by Claypool put the Steelers up by 3, and before that moment, I mean, they were down the whole game, so they had to be looking like, okay, here's our chance, and they got it done.
Just what a brutal year for the Ravens.
Yeah,
in this game, last turnover battle, 3-1.
This is like we touched on it last week. Like they've had a lot of those really close losses.
Yeah, the 5 of their last 6 games was decided by field goal or less.
Mm-hmm. So
6 straight losses.
A funny stat from those 6 weeks that I found myself was they went from the number 1 seed to last in their division.
Oh God!
In 6 weeks. Like not even out of the playoffs. That's not even the end of it. They got last in their division now, which means that they'll get a more favorable schedule next year. So if they're gonna miss, at least there's something to fall back on. But looking at it from that fall from grace, like in 6 weeks, I mean, you can't
get any worse than that.
Yeah, you really can't fall much more than that.
Yeah, that is terrible.
So getting into one of the AFC matchups that was not a huge surprise. Well, it was a surprise, I guess. It was a closer game than what I thought it was. The Chiefs.
Yeah, and the thing for me was Denver was without Pat Surtain, Ronald Darby, and Kareem Jackson, who was their leading tackler.
Yeah, and it was,
and they still held Mahomes down.
It was a dogfight. Now, I said last week in our picks that KC was going to play angry. They did in a smash mouth kind of want to run the ball kind of way, but I don't know, and I think I said they might put up 50, and you said, well, I don't think Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater is going to put up 50. They didn't have to.
No, they didn't.
Right? I can't remember what the final score was, but I think they only lost by, 4? It was 24, I believe, yeah. So they didn't need a ton. I mean, even getting 24 in Denver, pretty good defense. I mean, you feel pretty good, but as you said, they're missing some core pieces.
That scoop and score. That flipped the game on its head.
Well, I mean, not only was it a turnover, to score, but Denver was on the Kansas City. I think they were inside
10 or 12.
Inside the 10, yeah. So they were going to put up points themselves, and I believe it would have put them up 2 scores. So they were really in the driver's seat, and they kind of let it slip.
Yeah, the outside running defense for the Chiefs got exposed. They just kept going to it, Denver, over and over, and they ended up rushing for 200 yards.
Yeah, and this is something going into the playoffs now that we discussed again last week, that we said there's a couple teams that will scare you when it comes to running the ball. New England, Tennessee, Cincinnati can. Vegas can if they go up there. So I mean,
Jacobs has had, I think, 2 of his last 3 weeks has been up over 125.
Yeah, so he's a dependable back. I mean, most teams besides maybe Buffalo, you're scared of in that sense. So it's something that's on tape now, and teams are going to look to exploit now coming up, starting this weekend now. And Pittsburgh too, who they will be facing. They got Najee Harris. He's
had a good year, but it hasn't been exceptional.
No, I don't think that's really the style of game that they want to play. They've done it. They can do it.
I think they should do it.
They should try.
Ben can't throw for 350.
No.
Not anymore.
No.
He has the wide receiver core to do it, but...
And playing a defense like that, I don't think he has to.
No.
Right? He doesn't have to go in with that mindset that, okay, like I don't even think Kansas City's pass defense is as bad as it really
middle
because
tier.
when they started coming back, like obviously their pass rush was one of the top things that's gotten better, and if you're not passing the ball, right? I mean, you that's the easiest way to stop pass rush is to run the ball down their throats. You know,
Run it successfully,
and like you said, outside runs, some pitches. Like we'll see how they go about it, but it's definitely a weakness to see going forward.
Yeah, but the game I was fascinated with was San Francisco and LA.
Yeah, it was probably the biggest game in the NFC in terms of everything mixing up because you had a lot of teams that were watching that game specifically. The Cardinals was watching, Tampa was watching, the Saints were watching, all these other teams.
It finalized everything, really.
And they had all played at the same time. So the same thing as the Pittsburgh looking up at the scoreboard and seeing the Jags. The other teams are looking at this and they're saying, okay, what's going on over there? And that game was back and forth. I mean, the Rams came out strong early. I really thought it was a done deal, and I look up and San Francisco's within a score, and they tied up.
The crazy thing about it was 17-0. Sean McYay, he just goes to the end zone. He's celebrating around with the boys. Great job, boys.
Both nuts.
Oh my God! And then I think that flipped Kyle Shanahan's total mindset on the game.
Well, imagine you're just there, coaching your team, and you're upset. Your team's on 17-9. Then you got this
fanboy.
Yeah, just and it's just he's been to a Super Bowl. That's my big thing with him. If he hasn't done a whole lot and he's doing that, I'm okay. Be excited for your team, but you've been there.
Yes.
Act like you've been there. That's my thing with him. But
he's like a child out there.
Yeah, I don't know. If this was the NFC Championship, go crazy. It just seems a bit
front running,
Yeah,
I don't like that.
It's a big game,
but the best thing that I heard was Kyle Shanahan in the last 3 seasons 6-0 against Sean McVay.
Yeah, they have
dominance.
They've played them tough, and it's not really the way the brackets fell. But I thought it was going to be a rematch at first, and I was like, oh my God, what have the Rams done?
Yeah,
to have to face this team again, they don't. It's like Tampa with the Saints. It's just a stylistic matchup.
Yeah,
that they just don't play
crazy.
Well. So that was a big one in the NFC. We want to kind of touch on our 2 teams we cover the most. We'll start with New England. Kind of a letdown week, but they did have everything clinched, and Buffalo did end up beating the Jets, so it didn't hurt them in a seeding sense. Besides the Raiders jumping in later in the night, I think had they won that, they would have stayed locked in the 5. So I guess it did affect them. But
they would have been playing Cincinnati.
Yeah. But I think from a grand scheme, when everything is so close, Tennessee's in the 1 seed with 5 losses, and you look at this team on paper and they're 10-7, and 2 of their losses was against this Miami team. The first one in week 1 was a nail biter. They lost by a point. They're driving in. I think they might have fumbled within the 20. They could have even kicked a field goal to win.
Yeah, I think that was Stevenson because he fumbled week 1, and I don't think he played until week 8 again. Yeah, well, he was just in the doghouse.
Belichick, he usually, when someone fumbles or has turnover problems,
rookies especially,
usually on the bench. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we're gonna have to look at. Looking back at things now, is those closer games. That overtime against Dallas, the Tampa game was close. A win here and there, and instead of now a tough matchup, having to go run the gauntlet on the road. They could have been sitting pretty off this week at home, but that's not the way it fell, and go with the cards that were dealt here. But overall, not too concerned about this loss specifically.
Yeah, but the turnovers kill me.
Yeah, it was,
and the fact they can't stop the run pass option because they ran for over 200 yards.
Yeah,
Miami.
Yeah,
and
if there is a weakness on this Patriots defense, has been the run stopping, and they've really had issues with that over a lot of games this season. Tennessee, they won that game, but they were without Derrick Henry, and they still ran for almost, I think, 250 yards.
Yeah,
they ran over them, and again, that was without Derrick Henry. So there's definitely some holes there to fix and something to work towards. And you're playing a team like Buffalo that's not so strong with the run coming up. So I'm hoping it's something that they can get fixed and something that's there, because I have faith in their pass D. So, and they're deep, and they're
solid secondary.
Their secondary and their corners is definitely the strength of the team. So from a big picture point of view, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to look at Tampa. And, boy, the first quarter, I was on edge a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you had messaged me and said nothing is going according to plan here today.
No, like the NFC for a while there, like we said, the Rams were up 17-0. Tampa was down. New England was just throwing pick six, and they were down 14-0. I said these late window games are not going our way at all.
Yeah.
So I think the turning point of this game for Tampa was going into the half. They got the ball. I believe they're inside their 5 or inside their 10, and I can't remember how much time was on the clock. A little over 2 minutes, I believe. And they drove down and they scored. And they got the double score, and it came out after second half.
They also had a big stop on the goal line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a couple times.
On fourth.
Carolina was doing that a couple times. They went for it on fourth down, I think 3 or 4 times that I've seen throughout the game. And Tony Romo was like, oh, my God, their season's on the line. What are they doing going for it so much? He was just goofing.
Yeah.
But they had nothing to play for, so why not, go for it on fourth down? Who cares, right? But it was a good comeback. Starting the second half, and even though they weren't up by a whole lot, once they got the score, came out of half and scored again, I felt okay. I'm feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, for me, this was more of a practice game for Brady to get familiar with the young guys, get them involved. Now, I was excited to see Scotty Miller, 2 rushes, 40-odd yards, and a touchdown. And those the jet sweeps, I guess they were, right?
Yeah,
he come cross formation, take it outside.
Now, something that sticks out with that play specifically is that was the play that they'd ran with Godwin.
Yes.
So I think that may have been a trial for, okay, if we're in this situation, we want to run this play that we've done in key situations in big games. They tried it with Miller and he scored.
Because they ran it twice. They ran it to the left side first.
Yeah.
Then they ran it to the right side and scored a touchdown.
And he scored. So I think that might be what they're trying to do. They don't want to change their offense. They want to run the same play, same scheme.
Yeah.
They just want to plug in the pieces they have. Now, a big part of this game, too, they did lose Grayson early on to a hamstring injury. According to Arians right now, it's not super serious from what they see right now. So we'll see what that goes because, again, the depth just keeps going worse and worse. Every week I feel like somebody's going down.
It's crazy to say that losing him is a shot to this team.
That's it.
That's all they have right now.
5 weeks ago, we'd be laughing. We'd be like, "Who is this guy?" Like,
don't even know who it is.
Couldn't care less. He'd be cut off the practice squad.
And there he is, catching game-winning touchdowns and making big plays.
He's going to be a big part. And then there was a portion of the game where Perryman was hurt. He was down. Evans was down for a play or two.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, oh no, this guy's falling here. Who are we going to throw to?
Perryman had 5 catches, and Tyler Johnson had 5 catches.
It's those guys that are going to step up. But what I was happy to see this week was last week was all those young guys stepping up, which is great to see. But on that last,
did you see Perryman's catch?
Yes, yeah, like on the sideline. And that was a big play that set up the score just before the score at the end of the half. So it was a big play. But like we said last week, those young guys really came in and stepped up and made plays. And then this week, it was Evans and Gronk. So it's nice to see that they can take 2 elements of offense, and they're getting Lenny back this week for sure. Bernard may be back.
Levante David's
a lot of their defenses, Shaq Barrett, JPP, they're getting a lot of pieces back. So it's definitely a good sign. But so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Staying with the Bucs, AB just pieced. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
But more stuff has come out now, and he's been on podcasts basically saying that, Brady can't do it by himself, and Brady can't do shit without me, and he needs me to play football. And
there's an element of truth to it in the sense that he's 44 years old, and we've seen his last year in New England. It wasn't great. He had 24 touchdown passes to, I believe, 8 picks, which is a 3-to-1 ratio. It's pretty good. It's pretty much what he's had in Tampa because he's had more interceptions, but... It's
the lack of offense.
He's almost doubled it. I mean, he's got 83 touchdown passes in 2 years, whereas 24 in 1 year. I mean, you do the math; it's almost 4 years worth, right? 4 is 4-3. So I mean, it's a complete difference when he's he needs weapons. He's 44 years old. Of course he does. Like anybody that age is going to need weapons. Like if you take Devontae Adams away from Aaron Rodgers, he's going to struggle too if you don't have him for a whole year.
But what he's got to understand is, they still have Mike Evans on the team. Yeah. Who's probably better than AB.
Yeah. I mean, he's whole career has been in Tampa. Like he knows the system. He knows what that team has been through. He wants to win because he's been there for those.
Just a selfless player. I love it.
Yeah, he's
great.
Well, the consistency. I mean, obviously he broke a record this week. 8 straight seasons with 1,000 yards. I mean,
and he almost got injured on the play again.
That's 2 years in a row.
He cranked his funny bone off a helmet, and I thought, no, his elbow snapped off.
It's a curse at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you risk getting 1,000 yards to die? Or
at this point, if it happens next year, if he gets to 990, I think he should just stop.
Just get on the bench. Yeah,
we're not risking this. And then, of course, Brady was. I thought it was kind of like a middle finger fu to AB. How he went
thought so too.
Out of his way to help Gronk make his incentives.
Arians was going to sit him, but then he said, "Nope, I'm going back in." And went in for 2 more plays. Got him his money.
They just ran like an out for 7 yards, and he's like, "All right, I'm done now." And then he went and sat down. So it was kind of just like, okay, AB, you would have got your $1 million too, had you just not thrown a tantrum and stuck around and did what you were supposed to do. Like he had a game and a half to get, what was it, 8 catches, 55
yards,
and
a touchdown.
I mean, touchdowns a crap.
It's the toughest part,
but
possible.
Like Gronk needed, I think, 80 some odd yards and 7 catches in 1 week.
And he blew it away.
And he easily, the catches he had to come back in for, but that was it. So he had 130 yards, I think. So, and we got to keep in mind too that Gronk had missed 6 games.
Yes.
So I don't know if
there
was layers to this, and he could have gotten more.
Right. Yeah, I'd say they are layered like that.
Probably.
If you reach this milestone, you get this much. You reach this one.
If he gets 5 touchdowns, he makes this. But if he gets 10, he gets
exactly. Yeah.
But circling back to the AB thing, we feel like it's like if there's one person he wasn't going to blame in all this, it was Tom Brady. He's kind of took him under his wing, and not that Tom should get a pass for everything because again, there's always an element of truth to it. Like he came out and said, "Well, Tom needs me because I'm good at football." That's absolutely true.
It's your job. You're supposed to show up and do your job well.
But
your boss needs you. Right?
I do feel in that sense like he does still care. I don't think it's fair to say okay he can't do anything for me anymore, so now I don't care. Like do you feel he reached out to him privately? Probably, but
I'd say AB just ignored him.
Exactly, but if he's
Tom's pretty genuine.
If he goes out and messages, like they're not going to sign him back next year. That's it. He's done. So if he messages him at all, at this point, it proves he cares.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we let him stay at his house for I don't know how many weeks.
Yeah.
Last year when he first showed up, it's like, I don't mind being your roommate, man.
He crapped on him about that too. It's sad to see, and. He definitely will get another chance somewhere else in a couple of years.
Some desperate team.
It might not be next year. It might be like the Rams call up Weddle to play with them now for the play. It could be something like that.
Yeah.
Someone needs a stopgap wide out because they're hurt or
So the Rams getting Eric Weddle, right?
Yeah.
Did they lose anyone at strong safety?
They did. I can't remember the guy's name who they lost. Jordan somebody. I can't remember what his name was, but it was their starting safety.
Okay.
And he was. It's kind of like Edelman. If he had to come back now, he would have to go to New England. He was with the Rams when he retired.
Contract was still in
so
effect.
It wasn't like they signed him off. I don't even know if you could do that now. I mean, maybe. I don't know with the whole trade deadline stuff that affects signings and all that.
Yeah.
With because he had a contract with them, same as like Edelman can't sign with Tampa now because they're hurt. At what they would have to trade,
right?
Because
like they did with Gronk.
If he comes back, his contract, or if Andrew Luck comes back one of these years, he's going to the Colts.
Yeah, that's right.
He can't just sign wherever he wants. So he's under contract with them when he retired, I guess. But I mean, the guy was not the same player 5 years ago. I don't think it's a huge boost for them personally, but
it's just a body.
Yeah, it's just they probably wouldn't have even asked had their player not got hurt. But it's interesting to see.
But moving on to the next topic here, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys a little bit. Shane suggested this topic, so I'll let you take the lead on her, Shane.
Well, I know you're not a big fan of Dallas, so I feel like we might not agree with this one. Or I'm not even really making a strong case. I just want to know: do you think that they have potential to go deep? Because they've been scoring the ball like mad. They
lead the league.
They put up 50 points 2 out of the past 3 weeks. I was thinking about it today because the potential matchup, of course, in the divisional, if Dallas wins and Tampa wins, will be them going. And I say, okay, they beat them. in the first week of the season. It was close. It was in Tampa, so it's more advantages than what they already had. Plus, Tampa's lost a lot of pieces that they had. AB caught a bomb in that game. Is it the same team? I thought Dallas's defense was junk going into that game. They're a lot better than what I thought. I don't feel great going into that game.
Now, the one thing that everybody brags about on that defense is Micah Parsons. Yes, he's insane. Mm-hmm. I can't take anything away from him. He had an outstanding rookie season. Unprecedented, really. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone was talking, maybe he could win Defensive Player of the Year and in his rookie season, mm-hmm. which the last person to do that was Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player ever. Right? So he was in rare territory. Yeah. But Trayvon Diggs, yes, he's a good corner, and he gets a lot of interceptions. But you know what I found was a very funny stat? He actually leads the entire league in yards given up. Out of all the corners in the league. Right. He gave up the most yards.
Yeah, there's I find, and interceptions is always an overrated stat when it comes to corners because those lockdown, like Revis never had 10 picks.
Never.
Because nobody threw at him.
No. Revis on him.
Sherman never had 10 picks. Nobody threw at him.
Yeah.
They just said, okay, he's taking that side away. We're not even looking at him.
We'll go over here.
Yeah, right? So, for him to give up that many yards, I mean, he's not going to pick it off every time. So, yeah, that totally makes sense that he has the most picks. The one thing with me with that defense is it's too bad that Micah Parsons didn't end up being a linebacker like he was drafted to be because you got Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Gregory on either end.
And that's a logjam now.
They've been starting to put Micah on the line as well. So, their pass rush is crazy when they do that. But it's too bad because having Diggs in the back end, they've got pretty young safeties too, but secondary is probably their weakness. But there's some growth there for sure from the first of the year. Looking at that Tampa matchup, and then you would have had still a good front four with Lawrence and Gregory, Micah and the linebacker. So all three levels you're.
It's like your Ray Lewis kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So or Devin White last year.
White, yeah.
He got sacks,
speed,
forced
coverage.
fumbles. You got a pick. You get two actually. So he could do a bit of everything, but. They realize that his strength is off the line, and if that's how they want to play it, I mean, it's been working for their defense to a certain degree. But
now, for me, I saw them win big games, but I also saw them put up stinkers.
Yeah,
like the Arizona game. It's come on, you got to win that game.
Yeah,
you got to win that one.
Without D-Hop, they got blown out versus Denver.
Denver too. Yeah,
they were down 30-0 in that game. They were blown out.
So. They went 6-0 against the NFC East. Yeah. Their division.
Yeah.
Philly, Washington, New York Giants.
Which has been traditionally looked at as NFC least.
Yeah.
There's a reason that that division winner has been the 4 seed for as long as I can remember now, except for this year. Now they're 3rd, and Dallas is really climbing up there. They actually had the 1st seed a few years back, too, I remember.
Yeah, I think that was Dak's rookie year.
Yeah. So they've really been the team that stood out amongst all those in the NFC East, but traditionally they're usually the 4 seed. It's just like Washington last year. No, they might have had a losing record and they were in the playoffs.
The point that I was getting at is they're 3-4 against above 500 teams, which I find very hard to put stock into. Right? It's can I really trust them?
Yeah, and they kind of it was a blown opportunity against a team like Denver. And
they lost to Oakland.
Not
Oakland.
Vegas. Yeah,
Vegas. Yeah,
I think they tank it Thanksgiving Day every year. It's like a tradition.
Yeah, that's right.
At this point,
they check the schedule.
Thanksgiving. Okay, well, we know that the Lions and the Cowboys are losing today.
Yeah, busy scheduled in.
Yeah, right. Penciled in on holidays. So that's usually what happens. But I just feel like this team is different.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't want them to
be. They do play with swagger.
They do, I don't know. And I felt the same way when they had the 1 seed a few years back. And I said, okay, this team, they're number 1 seed. They had the bye, back then. And Green Bay came up and gave it to them. So I guess we'll see. And, again, in the 3 slot, you're not comfortable either. I mean, they've got a tough road. I mean, they're looking at San Francisco, who they have this week for sure. Then they'd have to go to Tampa and go to Green Bay if everything pans out.
Yeah,
the way it's going. So It's we'll see what goes from them, but right now I don't know. I feel like they're poised to make a run, but Dallas be Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna get to that later, but yeah, we'll wait until we do our little analysis at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we're moving on to, was the number one pick actually worth tanking for? And I guess we're not accusing any teams of tanking.
No, it was actually quite the opposite why I want to talk about this today.
Yeah.
Because both the Lions and the Jaguars had won. Saying the announcers during the game were like freaking out, and they're like, "Oh my god, like, do the Jags realize what they're doing? They're crazy for winning this game." And then
that damn interim head coach.
And then I flip over because Green Bay's losing. That was fun to watch. So I flick it over, and Detroit's driving down to score and go up by 7 and win that game. And they said, "Detroit, what are you doing? The Jags are winning. This is your chance."
Winning feels good to everybody.
And I'm thinking, there's not this huge quarterback in the number one spot. Like, why are these announcers freaking out that the first pick is being blown? Because both of the teams that were fighting for it both won. They weren't going out of their way to lose the game.
And to me, they both need quarterbacks.
Yeah, and
Jared Goff, I don't see him being the long-term fix for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, well,
that's just my opinion. But
I mean, the Jags are set for at least the next.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Yes,
but I mean, if you look at the top 10, I mean, traditionally, quarterbacks are they're gonna go.
Interesting though. So right now, just say the top 6. So we got the Jags, Detroit, Houston, New York Jets, New York Giants, and Carolina. So like we said, the Jags got their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Detroit, to me, no, but do they think they might have something there with Jared Goff? Maybe.
Houston's interesting.
Houston, Deshaun Watson.
We don't know what Deshaun Watson's doing. They were playing a rookie in Davis Mills this year who's had some moments. Their team, I don't know. If a quarterback was there, would they take one? Honestly, I'm not sure.
I don't know. And the Jets obviously
just drafted one. So
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
The Giants, to me, they have to take a quarterback.
They have to, but they seem reluctant to do so.
Yeah, they won't. They want to stick again. Well, I had heard early in the season that Joe Judge and Daniel Jones will both be staying with the team for another year. And obviously Joe Judge has been fired.
Yeah, so I mean, usually we had talked about this leading up to this week, and teams usually they'll blame their quarterback or their coach, and the coach takes the brunt 9 times out of 10 because the player's under contract. You can't just take Daniel Jones' contract and cut him because his cap hit's going to hurt you.
Yes.
So you can't do that to a quarterback as quickly as you can to a coach. So teams like that. Almost all of them. Carolina's in the same boat. They've got 2 quarterbacks that are sitting there, and you can make an argument for every team. And then if you look beyond that, the Falcons, Denver, and then the Jets again.
You got Washington in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, like, none of those teams stand out. Washington's probably the most out of all of them, which is crazy to say, but
would that need one?
Yeah, like. I feel like I can make the best argument for them rather than some of those top 5.
Taylor Heineke is not the guy. He plays with fire, and I love it.
Well, they signed him to whatever 2 or 3 year contract for like $4 million per. So I mean, that's not starter money. That's a backup contract. They do not expect him to start.
Yeah, and Atlanta, I don't see Matt Ryan sticking around very long. So maybe draft like a developmental guy here in the 2nd round.
I think he'll start for the next year or 2 for them still, but I think after that.
In Denver, but you got to figure something out. You can't beat the Chiefs. Ever since Peyton Manning left, they haven't beat the Chiefs. They've lost 13 straight games.
And they've been flinging quarterbacks in left and right trying to get something to stick, and it really hasn't. I mean, look at how Brock Osweiler, just how many guys they brought in.
Teddy, Drew Lock.
Yeah, Drew Lock, yeah. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of quarterbacks to go in there. They're all Midland guys. And we thought they were going to be a contender for maybe go get a veteran who's good. And
well, with their roster, it's like you need a Tannehill, somebody who's just going to run the offense, not turn the ball over, not screw the game.
Who's good enough, and like a Matt Ryan level quarterback there. Yes. I mean that might be someone that they can explore. But like you need to find one of these teams that's kind of ready to start over, who got that quarterback in place that's good, not great, and then kind of see what they can do with that.
Yeah. I think we both agree that they've got to figure something out soon.
Yes, absolutely. So overall, I would pretty much sum it up by saying that no, it wasn't worth tanking for.
No.
Because it seems that there's no... If you look at mock drafts now, I mean, it's all offensive linemen.
You got D-ends.
D-end is anytime that a quarterback is not taken, it's almost always a D-end that goes first.
Somebody who can wreck a game, right?
Like Chase Young or someone like that.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, Clowney. Yeah, those guys are going at the top. So that's probably where a team's going. In mocks, you might see a quarterback go in the top 10, but I mean they're shooting darts.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're just basically trying to buy a winning lottery ticket at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, we'll get more into the draft as we go on. We don't want to waste too much time on the draft. We're gonna get into some coaches that were fired or kept this week that were surprising. More so on the fired side because that's really been the big thing. Black Monday.
Yeah.
We find out it's all, every year. It's 5 or 6 guys are gone, and
the biggest one to me was Flores. For Miami Dolphins, I mean, they had a rough start, and it's funny that they were 1-7, and you don't hear a whole lot about. Well, they lost 7 straight. Right?
Yeah, and you don't hear a whole lot about him being on the hot seat, and then they go all 8-1 in their last 9, which is insane. And now he's gone.
Yeah,
and
their first team ever to lose 7 straight and then win 7 straight in the same season.
Yeah.
Like what an unbelievable turnaround, though.
Yeah, I mean. Had they squeaked into the playoffs, I wouldn't have wanted to play that team.
No, it's scary because of that run-pass option. And, Gaskin, he's not a great running back, but he can get the job done. Waddle is a rookie wide receiver, making big plays.
I feel like they definitely got some pieces in place that are, like, really good. Like, their defense is... They've got pretty good, people in place. Xavier Howard, who had the pick 6 last week. Byron Jones is their other corner. Their front 4 is pretty good. They're a good run-stopping team for the most part. There's definitely some good stuff there on their roster.
There's substance,
Yeah.
It's not like the Jags where you've got nothing. You've got a quarterback, you got nothing else.
So looking at like Minnesota fired their coach, Denver, the Giants, Chicago, Carolina. Safe to say that's the most intriguing place to go.
Which one?
Miami.
Miami, definitely got the most potential in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean they've got the most in place.
Like I said, I don't like Tua, just because he's just limited to me.
Yep.
He's kind of like a Mac Jones, He's not going to make the big plays over the top as a young quarterback.
Right.
But, accuracy, and Tua's got the ability to kind of move out of the pocket a little bit, but, not like a Zach Wilson or anybody, but, he can get it done.
Yeah.
He has that element to his game.
And they were one of the teams that were big on Deshaun Watson when his name was thrown around late in the offseason, early in the regular season. And so when you look at them having that quarterback in place then, because there's no reason to think they're out on him now.
I had heard that the reason Flores was fired was because of a power struggle. That the owner does not want any involvement with Deshaun Watson, and Flores was willing to throw the house at him.
Right.
To get him.
And that might have something to do with it then.
So, who knows what's going to happen now going forward. And maybe the next coach might want Deshaun Watson too, and the owner's just going to have to suck it up because...
That's probably going to be a question in their interview at this point.
True, yeah.
Right? It's like they're probably...
Do you want Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Of course. He's a top 5 quarterback. Get out.
You're not even going to chance it, right?
What the hell?
Like, they can only do so much with Tua. So, I mean, they got to make a move, and they're looking at someone who has potential, problems aside, looking at it right now. Haven't heard a peep since, all this trade talk has stopped, which is funny enough. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with that. But
there's a couple openings that I wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah,
especially the Denver Broncos coach opening. I had heard that they're interviewing Green Bay's quarterback coach and their offensive coordinator. So you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to bait Aaron Rodgers over, right?
Okay, yeah. Because if he has trouble with the front office now, it seems like that's starting to, peter out a little bit. But if there is still a little bit of angst there, and if they have a bad draft, or they're not really making moves in free agency, which I don't think they have a whole lot of
or if
cap
they
to
lose
do.
in the divisional round.
I think Devontae Adams is a free agent as well. He could also leave with Rodgers potentially. Like that.
And Rodgers has to be traded.
That could be a disaster, right? So we'll see, but it's a good move by them, really, because they were the team like Miami with Watson. They were the team that really stood out to say, okay, where's Rodgers going to go? Yeah. And it was everyone Denver. So like that is potential that could happen, and again, they're a team that has some pieces in place. It seems like they're a team that is pretty intriguing too. Out of like, you look at that list, you're coming in dealing with a lot of young quarterbacks. Chicago, Jacksonville, Carolina,
Minnesota.
Minnesota's intriguing.
It's a decent job.
They got a great offense. So I don't know, maybe get a defensive coach.
The Giants. I don't know if anyone's gonna take that job.
No, I mean the front office.
They're gonna need a volunteer.
The front office seems like they got a bunch of people with cabbages for heads, man. They're just a bunch of doofuses.
Oh god, that's just bad. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a brutal franchise, man. They've got like that is. They're gonna just have to offer a crazy paycheck. I don't understand who could look at that and be like, I'm gonna turn that around. Seriously.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine there's a team. Now, we did put Vegas on this list too, which might be probably the most intriguing because they're the only playoff team that's listed here. So John Gruden was fired in week 8. Their interim coach obviously has done a fairly good job. They're
Fine job. Yeah.
They're in the playoffs. Is that enough to keep them around? I'm not sure.
I don't know what he was originally. Do you know? Like, was he a coordinator?
Generally, it's a coordinator. I don't know what side of the ball particularly he was on.
I could imagine that being tough, though. Mm-hmm. It's like you are a coordinator, and now you're thrusted into the head coaching job and trying to be a coordinator at the same time.
Well, assuming, you're probably calling plays then at that point too.
That's a big.
That's a tough.
That's a lot of responsibility to take on,
and then to turn it around, and I don't think their record was a disaster when he took over. But because they've been kind of a 500 team all year, and they still are. They're 10-7. I mean, their record isn't 13-4 either. So I'm not saying give this guy a 10-year contract, Gruden. But there's this. Is it worth taking a shot on him for maybe selling him back to 2 years or something if he's winning? Not to go to a different sport.
Like you said, you can fire him at any time if he starts playing or he starts coaching like shit.
But not to cross over sports or anything. But like the year that St. Louis won the Stanley Cup, they fired their coach mid-season. The interim coach came in,
flipped the team on its head,
flipped the team completely around. They end up winning the cup. He's still coaching today. So I mean, that's sometimes you see that the coach comes in. It's a different voice. It's a different person to take over, a different type of leadership. Maybe he's, Gruden was kind of a player coach. Maybe this guy's more strict. We don't know.
And it's like, sometimes when a coach is trying to say something to you and you don't respect them at all, it's just in one ear, out the other one. Like you said, you get a new voice in, maybe actually kind of making connections with players, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows how it's going to go. But let's move on to our updated award picks.
Not much has changed for me. Maybe a couple honorable mentions. The MVP race is close.
Yeah. I got Tom Brady.
I think I do too. not to pull the bias card, but it played out exactly how I thought it would last week. Last week I said Green Bay is going to play this like a preseason game. They're going to let him play a half. And then they're going to put Jordan Love in the second half. They lost the game. Goes on Aaron's record. He started the game. They lost. It goes on his record. If you don't want to give him full fault for it, don't. That's fine. But it goes on his record. They got the same record now as Tampa, so you can't be like, oh, well, they're the 1 seed. Doesn't matter. They get the same record. You can't discredit Brady any less. He has 1,100 more yards.
The stats don't make any sense.
6 more touchdowns. Brady had a couple rushing touchdowns, so he had 45 total. I mean, it's insane. And you know, you can't not factor in that he's 44.
Yes, that's narrative.
Like
right?
like Mahomes had these numbers at 26 or 27, however old he is. Like okay, yeah, a kid that age, you know, with how he's playing, he should have numbers like that. Brady's 44. He shouldn't even be playing.
Well, he had the most yards he's ever had.
He's
in a
ever
season.
had. Like you factor in an extra game.
Still, he's only been over 5,000 twice.
Twice, yeah. I mean, like
this is the third time.
You shouldn't even be playing starting quarterback at 44. Period. Let alone at this level.
Even like kickers don't last that long.
Kickers barely.
Vinatieri made it to
45,
45.
And does Brady look like he's done? Not playing like this.
Liability, buddy.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a tough race. I get it if Aaron wins. I'm not going to throw pity party over it, but
last week I said that it was a done deal. Aaron Rodgers is going to get it.
Yeah,
and I still think that the voters will vote in Aaron's way.
I do too. I do think that he'll edge it out. I think it'll be close.
But to me, I think Brady has done an exceptional job with that team with the amount of injuries. Chris Godwin gone, AB gone for 8 or 9 weeks.
Yeah,
Scotty Miller non-existent. Playing with Tyler Johnson.
And I'm not sure when the vote actually takes place. I know I mentioned before that the playoffs don't have a factor on it. But it depends when the vote happens. Because let's just hypothetically say that Brady goes on a run here now. And usually the award show, I believe, is between the conference championship and the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So let's say that the Super Bowl is Tampa and KC again, or Tampa and whoever. Like, he probably had to go through Aaron Rodgers, and if they do vote just before that award show, you're telling me that don't have a factor?
Yeah,
absolutely it does. Or if he just goes,
goes
on a run period with it, with all these young guys that are there, I'm not. Maybe the vote might be done. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's right after the regular season is done and that's it. I'm not 100% sure how it all works. But if that's not the case and they do watch the playoffs, even though it's not supposed to change their mind.
You're going to be biased in some way.
Human instinct, they're going to change their mind. And I think even again with Rodgers not even playing this week, who are they watching every week? It's gonna help change minds.
Exactly.
Right? So.
I agree. But offensive player of the year,
it's a 2-man race. We had Kupp, but we did mention that Jonathan Taylor had fell out of the MVP race. And usually what happens is when a person like that, and when I say person like that, I mean outside of a quarterback, because MVP has been a quarterback award for however long. Yeah. Usually when a player of that caliber, and so I'm surprised all year we haven't heard Kupp's name in the MVP, honestly, because he's been that type of player. Like he's been the
Stafford has been in the MVP, right?
Yeah, and
it's hard to have.
That's what they do. They take the best teams that are up there and they take the quarterback rather than the person who's really making it go. So usually what happens is the players who don't get the MVP award will drop down and offensive player of the year, which is again MVP is always, or defensive player. They're gonna win. It's almost like a
consolation prize.
Yeah, consolation prize. Yes, like it's a
still an honorable thing to get.
It's a lesser award with the same
substance to it,
idea behind it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I've got Jonathan Taylor actually winning this now.
Yeah, I think it's close. I'm gonna stick with Kupp just because of what we mentioned earlier.
He almost had 2,000 yards.
Taylor slowed down. I mean, he was. What did I tell you during the game? I think it was 18 yards away from Megatron. He almost, he's breaking records. I think if Jonathan Taylor was, close to Dickerson's record, I think you'd be hearing the same thing.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, I'm still gonna give that one to Kupp. Everything else, I think, is pretty status quo. Hey, Chase.
I've got T.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
that's pretty standard. Jamar Chase and Michael Parsons for offensive rookie and defensive rookie.
So we're sticking with those three. And
so I got a question for you, though.
The other two are definitely 2-man race.
Who do you got for Coach of the Year?
This is one that we never mentioned. This is tough. I
feel like Mike Vrabel is a lock, and you can't take it away from him.
I had Belichick in the running until had they won their division and maybe
12-5.
Well, they were the first seed at one point.
Yes.
So when they were up there, he was getting a lot of talk. But
yeah,
that I don't think that has any chance now. I think Vrabel's the shout
without their best player for like 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's
what the hell. No other team
You've got to
does
give
that.
Matt LaFleur a shot just because it's been 3 years in a row that they've been 13-3, 13-4 this year because of the extra game.
Yeah.
And he hasn't gotten a lick. I mean, just you want to do up them records real quick? It's 39-10.
Yeah.
This guy's amazing. He's a good coach. He's not going to get the credit because of Aaron Rodgers, but he's a great coach.
Wins 80% of his games.
Yes, exactly. And like at which point is he going to get credit? I mean, this is not every year to get the first seed. I think the first year they were 13-3. I think they might have had second seed or something. But
who got coach of the year last year?
I don't know.
Indy? No. Indy?
Sometimes it's a surprise team too.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I've got Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, it's a team that we didn't think would be there. Got the 1 seed. They played great. They had, and here's a stat. I didn't even have to look this up. I heard this from someone else. So credit to whoever heard it from. They had okay. So you got your 53 man roster, and then you go to your practice squad as an extra 10, and then like you bring guys in as you go. They had 83 or 84 guys on their starting roster throughout the entire year. That shattered previous records.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
That's injuries, that's COVID, that's everything. So whatever factors they had with players flipping in and out, they had 80 and it's I can't remember what the record was, but they had a beat in like week 12.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the record was, and they brought guys in since.
And they got the 1 seed.
And they got the 1 seed.
How? I don't understand.
And they're getting Derrick Henry back. You know, you just look at
to me, it blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the show. I can't believe we missed that last week. That was one that stood out that we never discussed. But yeah, no, I totally
glad
agree.
It's on the record now.
Yeah, no, I know it's not fun for any debate, but yeah, no, I gotta say I must agree.
Yeah. So we got another segment here, and it's kind of has this person played their last game with their respective team, and this would be Russell Wilson, Big Ben, Carson Wentz, and Baker Mayfield.
So we're going to make this a short version just because we're going to really dive into it in the offseason when there's like a good chance of turnover.
Yeah. And nothing else on the go. Just give us something to talk about.
yeah, it's a good offseason topic. But
yeah.
So we're just we're quoting it as who stays and who goes segment. So we're going to look at these 4 right now because they're probably...
To me, they're the big stories.
They're probably the hot topic. We're going to throw Aaron Rodgers in there too, but he's still playing right now. And yes, Ben is there, but we think he's playing until Saturday.
We all know he's going home.
Sunday. Yeah, so yeah, this weekend. Well, let's start there then. Big Ben. I was just about to say this Sunday may be his last, so you kind of see where I'm going. I think this is his
I think
last
he's
game.
retiring.
Yeah,
I think he's made it clear this year.
I don't think he necessarily goes anywhere. He goes home. That's where he goes. He's done. I mean, his arm this week, it looks like a wet noodle. It's just flopping all over the place. Looks like he's
dragging. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I hope Big Ben has the biggest game of his career.
Oh, great.
And smashes the Chiefs.
That would be great. That would be his gift to us on his way out.
How likely is that? No. Probably like 0 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. And you just tipped your pick.
Yeah.
Damn. No, I totally agree. It's tough to see how he certainly wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
The guy loves the city. You see him the other night. He's pretty upset about having his last game in Pittsburgh. He knows he wouldn't be like that if he didn't think he was on the way out.
Yeah.
I think he's completely done.
I think his mind was actually to the retirement stage when they had ended their game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you know? I don't know if he realized how good of a shot they had.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin, I seen a quote. He just said that he went to sleep.
Yeah.
He didn't. What game was it?
The Chargers and Raiders.
Yes. He just went to sleep. He just, I don't know if he knew the significance of it all or what, but now I find it very hard to believe this is your job and this is what you live for, the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go to sleep. I think this probably not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But second on the list, Russell Wilson.
I think this is tough. This is probably the toughest one for me. I feel that he's...
Sorry, it's my alarm.
I think he's gonna stay one more year. I do. I think he's gonna stay one more.
To me, it's either him or Pete Carroll has to go. Pete Carroll is he's a dinosaur in this league right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just his offensive schemes don't work.
He's like He's one of those coaches that have been there for so long and they've had sustained success for a long time, but it hasn't been to a championship level for a while.
Yeah.
It's like those guys, Tomlin and Harbaugh in Baltimore. Like, they've been there for a long time. They've had success in the past, and their past success is why they're still around.
Yeah.
It's happening with a lot of these coaches, and the team isn't really going anywhere. Like we said earlier, the coach usually takes the brunt. Not really in this case. Seems like Wilson's catching more of the slack here, and I guess it's because Carroll was there before Wilson, even though it all kind of correlated at the same time when they started winning.
Yeah.
With him being on his rookie contract. But yeah, no, I really do see him sticking around for one more year. And then if it's the same thing next year, especially in that tough division, they're going to blow it up.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I think the easiest one for me is probably Cleveland, where Baker's on a 5th-year option. I don't think they have any real incentive to move him.
Yeah, I think he stays.
There's not
stays
really,
1 year.
There's not really any alternative plan. They're not going to draft.
If they can get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson,
That's what it would have to be, someone who's a clear upgrade, and I just don't think it's there.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Wilson and Mayfield maybe do a switch.
Yes.
And put Mayfield in Seattle and Wilson in Cleveland. Just, hell, let's see what happens, right? I think that would actually be an interesting, whipping a couple picks here and there, because I'm sure they're going to value Wilson, Hart, and Baker, and whatever, right? But I think I'd like to see a move like that, just to kind of spice it up for two teams that are kind of there. They think they're there. They just need that extra little push, and both probably feel pretty good about that. Wilson's not really happy, so yes, Wilson's the better player over Baker, but Skip said it on Skip and Channel, he thinks that Baker just needs a new
fresh start.
A fresh start, yeah. So
just cut him. If you're not confident in his ability, just cut him.
And you see Mayfield is upset with Stefanski with the play calling. You get Carroll. He's a real players coach. He's probably going to let him take the reins a little bit. It's a fresh play caller, fresh city. Seattle's fan base is rabid. They would love him, or they would hate him.
And they got great weapons.
With that. And they do. They have a
Tyler Lockett,
strong offense.
DK Metcalf, Rashad Penny. He's come on lately.
Yeah.
Great running back.
Yeah, they definitely have some pieces in place. So the last one that we're going to look at today is Carson Wentz. This is probably the most interesting one.
Yeah.
On paper, just because it is a team that, with a win last week, they were in the playoffs, and they were going to be a dangerous team on paper.
And they had the best matchup possible.
So I think this game specifically is going to skew a lot of people a certain way negatively. That shouldn't, in my opinion. I think they should keep him.
Yeah.
So I'd give him another chance.
But are you saying keep him because they have no other option? He is the best option, or are you saying
he's
long term?
He's not the best option, but I don't think there's a person in place to take over that's better. That's immediately available to you. This is what I'm saying. You have to make a big move. Wilson's got to be a trade. Rodgers has got to be a trade. I think the easiest thing to do is to just go, I'm going to sign Teddy Bridgewater, or I'm going to sign Sam Darnold, or I'm going to sign...
And then be a joke for another year.
I think a guy, and this is a guy who will come up in the offseason, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's probably the easiest guy because San Francisco has a guy there already. Garoppolo's going to become expendable, and he's a guy that you can put in any one of these places. Seattle... Probably not, because they're in the same division. Yes. But Cleveland and Indianapolis over in the opposite conference totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's something that you could see in the future. But for right now, that was going to be a dangerous team that nobody wanted to see in the playoffs. Because he loses one game, all of a sudden they're going to blow it up. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I agree, but I do think they will draft a quarterback because they're one of those middle of the first round draft picks. That's where all the quarterbacks are right now.
Yeah.
So I think they will take
I don't know if they'll take one in the first round. They might pull a fourth round flyer on somebody and just kind of see what happens, like the Saints did with Book or the Pats did with Garoppolo. I believe he was the second round. So maybe not high capital to get a quarterback, but I do think they will bring one in for sure, just to kind of take a flyer on somebody maybe third or fourth round and kind of see what happens there. But I think that's it for the four guys we're looking at now. So now we get into the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to look at our playoff matchups. How we decided to do this is last week we just went through at the end. We gave a really soft analysis and had a pick. This week, sorry, we're going to, now it's less games, obviously, we only have 6. So what we'll do instead of a quick 1-minute analysis and a score, we're going to kind of break it down a bit more, a couple minutes each game, then we're going to give a score, not just a pick.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a score this week too. We want to do a quick mention on our pick contest.
Yes. Shane ended up getting me by 1 game.
The final game. No, it was not the final game. But I was thinking because I was up 3, and John had won 3 games to 1 against the opposite games we picked. So I was 1 game up on him going into the final game, and I was waiting for him to text me and say, "Hey, I'm taking the Raiders because I'm only down 1 game." And they ended up winning too, so I'm glad he never.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have tied it up. I don't know what we would have done then, but
it worked out real well for me. We got the playoffs this Saturday, and John said he's picking up a 2 for us. So
getting out a good drunk there.
That's right. So I'll take my winner's case and
run with it.
We'll have a good weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna get in. I did this like the AFC and then NFC, or did you want to pick it in the order that the games are playing?
I got it as scheduled, but we can do it your way.
Okay, so I had the AFC. Mine is pretty much in the order that they play. I just separated the conferences, so then we can kind of get a layout of where.
So what's your first game?
Bengals and Raiders, because that is the first game on Saturday, and it's probably, in my opinion, the one not many people care about.
Yeah.
This is probably the most boring game of the weekend. Not boring. I think it's going to be.
There's going to be fireworks.
It's going to be an exciting offensive game, but when you look at potential, I don't think it matters who wins this game. I don't think whoever wins this game has any shot in hell of making it to the Super Bowl.
I just feel like
I think it's pointless to even play it.
I feel like offensively, Vegas is pretty limited.
Yes,
and defensively, Cincinnati is very limited. So it almost makes both offenses look amazing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got the score 33-27 for the Bengals.
I have a very similar score. I have 31-24.
For the Bengals?
For the Bengals. Yes.
Okay.
So I think Chase is going to go off.
Yeah.
Mixon's going to score a touchdown or 2. Burrow's going to... You got to factor in, we don't know. I haven't heard any health update on him. We don't know if he's 100%, if he's 80%, if he's. I'm completely assuming 100% health.
Yeah. So, now the one interesting thing is that the Bengals have given up 51 sacks this year, which is most by landslide.
Yep.
And Max Crosby has the highest pressure percentage in the whole league.
Yep.
That guy, he's a menace.
Yeah,
he could destroy this whole game.
They got some strong front that's gonna cause havoc, and that is their big weakness. I feel if Burrow's getting the ball out quick and one of those Chase is down there somewhere, just chuck it out, right? Like that. Like, are they gonna have time to get to him? Can they establish the run on him? I think this might be one of those things where I have the scores 31-24. It might not be as close as it looks. I think it might be one of those things where it's 31-13 or something, and they come back and score a couple late points and make it look a little bit, do an onside, like a score at the end, do an onside kick, not get it, game's over. So they were really down 2 scores, got a garbage time touchdown. It might not be as close as it looks, but that's how I see it playing out.
Yeah, I don't have a very good feel for how this game is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the Bengals are going to win outright, and it's just going to be a shit show for half of it, right?
Well, I'm giving way that both offenses are going to put up a decent amount of points, and you just, I just can't see turnovers or defense being a huge factor.
No.
I think Cincinnati will get a lead early and sit on it a little bit and just hold on just long enough.
All right. So what do you got next? Pats game?
Yeah, Pats and Bills.
Nice.
This one hurts. this one's hard. Now, a lot of me wants to take Buffalo with my head, but I can't do it. I for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a fan of her. Number 2, I picked the Patriots as my surprise team that might make a run last week, so it'd be silly for me to pick against them this week.
You'd just be contradicting yourself, really, yeah.
Now, I do think that defense is going to be a big part of this game. I don't know what the weather's calling for, because the first game up in Buffalo was pretty bad. It was awful.
It was a fucking monsoon.
It was so bad. It was a huge storm Kickers,
Mac Jones just sitting there.
Kickers were kicking field goals, and the ball was coming back at them. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah, you'll never see a game like that again.
So assuming it's a normal weather game, which does favor Buffalo,
yeah,
and it's in Buffalo, I'm taking the Pats.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the Pats. I'm going to take them 24-23. It might be a Nick Folk walk-off field goal.
Wow,
it's going to be as close as can get.
Nice.
24-23.
So for me, the Patriots' strength on offense is their running attack.
Absolutely.
Buffalo, they had the number 1 ranked defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're going to be bullying the Patriots. But I also feel like Buffalo is at a disadvantage on their offense because they don't run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the weakness of the Patriots' defense.
Yeah.
Is their run defense.
Yeah.
Their pass defense is great. A lot of picks. A lot of pass deflections.
Strength on strength.
You know? They got J.C. Jackson, Shadow Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to let Cole Beasley beat you then.
Yeah.
And like Knox, the tight end. I just feel like the Patriots can do it. I feel like they can limit them.
I feel like defense and turnovers, where I said it wouldn't be a factor in the Cincinnati game, I think it absolutely will be here. I mean,
God, the turnover battle.
Josh Allen has had a stretch of bad games. He had 3 picks 2 weeks ago.
Against Atlanta.
He cannot turn the ball over at all against his team.
Too dangerous.
He cannot do it. And if he does and sets them up, because New England's offense isn't going to run crazy on you. They might run crazy on you because that's all they do. But like that's it. Like they're not a big play offense. So if you turn over the ball, especially on your own side of the field, you're giving them what their strength is, a short field. They're gonna run it down. They'll kick field goals all game if they got to. That 24 could be 8 field goals. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't think so. But like it could be.
Yeah.
Right. And Folk has had a great season. It might be a blustery game. It might be a crazy win that switches it in. But I think he's gonna kick a winning game.
Yeah.
At the very end.
I've got a very similar score. I've got 23-20 for the Pats.
Very similar. Yeah.
I had it as a walk-off field goal.
Yeah.
So within the last minute, they score.
Maybe
Buffalo has a chance to get the ball back.
Mine's a lot more sketchy because if he misses, they lose.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So
they miss. At least got OT. Yeah.
I'll definitely take your score because it'll make me feel a lot better. All right. So that one was a razor-thin victory for me. This next one is not. We got the Chiefs and Steelers as our last pick. Now, I'm not going to go as far as the game they played 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was about 20,
Big Ben is not going to have that kind of
28-point victory. I don't think I'll give Pittsburgh a lot more credit for making it this far than they do. I think the Chiefs are going to score. I think they showed that game that they put up a lot of points against Pittsburgh was the game that they were missing Kelsey.
Yes, I know.
That is the biggest thing.
And Tyreek Hill was limited. He only had 5 catches.
They were playing with one hand tied behind their back, hopping on one foot, and they still beat them by almost 30 points.
Yeah.
This game will not be pretty. Pittsburgh will make a dogfight out of it. They'll be scrappy. I think it's enough to make it an interesting game for 2.5 quarters, and then the Chiefs are just going to sail away with a couple of late touchdowns in the fourth. I got 35-20.
I got 34-24.
Okay, yeah. So
for the Chiefs, of course.
We're damn near on the same page with all these games. And we did not know each other's scores before we came on, by the way.
Now, I do think that, if TJ Watt can wreck this game with 3 sacks. Get him off the field on third down.
Strip sack, their defense scores. I mean,
if Kansas City gets into the groove of 3rd and long here, 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, 12, taking stupid penalties, I feel like that's just going to give TJ Watt a bit of extra time to get in there, get him on 4th down, punt the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, and they need to do that consistently is the thing. I think he could do it. I think he can strip sack him. I think getting hit by J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt in January is not fun.
No.
It's going to be cold up there. That's a whole nother thing. It's cold up there, and up there is KC is where it's at. They got the home field advantage. I can't see how on paper in any way, shape, or form.
I'm just trying to make the argument to myself that there's a possibility.
Unless TJ Watt does that strip sack a couple times, they score every time right away. Like the defense has got to play out of their minds.
Yeah.
Big Ben's got to have the game of his life. A lot of things got to go right for Pittsburgh.
I feel like Big Ben has to have 250. That's it. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 touchdowns. And then Najee Harris has over 120.
Well, like we mentioned earlier. If there's a weakness on the Chiefs that we've seen on paper, it's definitely their outside run D. And if Pittsburgh can exploit it, all the power to them. I just can't see it happening.
Me neither. So 34-24 is what I got.
Yep, and I've got 35-20. So we're gonna move over to our NFC picks, and we'll start with Tampa because they're the first game on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because they played this team already. They played them on the road. They played them in Philly.
Philly didn't know who they were then, though.
They beat them by 6, but it was one of those games, kind of like Cincinnati. I mentioned Cincinnati was ahead, and then they're going to let the Raiders back into it. That's what I have. That's similar to what happened in that game. I believe Tampa was up 28 to
Jalen Hurts just ran
28
everywhere.
to 10 or something like that. And they ran in a couple touchdowns there at the very end. I see something similar to that. I think I got Tampa winning 30-20. I think it's going to be comfortable.
I got Tampa winning 38-27.
38. Okay, so you got a lot more offensive than I do.
Yeah,
I'm giving Philly the credit that they can get pressure with 4. I don't think Brady's going to
against the number 1 ranked offensive line and their pressure rate. I'm pretty sure Philly is 31st overall in pressure rate. Now sacks they're up there, but just pressure.
Yeah,
making the quarterback get it out quick, making him throw incompletions out of bounds, anything like that. They're 31st.
And Brady's strength is getting the ball out quick now. How much chemistry is he having with these young guys that he's getting the ball out quick and he's getting screen passes and he's getting slants and outs and they're going to the right place because all it's going to take is Grayson runs the wrong route or Johnson slips on the turf and then it's pick 6. Like anything could happen here with that defense.
Yeah.
And when you're playing with these young guys, like there's more vulnerability for mistakes and I could see it happening. I'm not shocked at all if Brady has a pick, maybe 2 in this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any sense. I even think they might have to kick a field goal to make it a 10-point lead with 2 minutes to go. And then it's a 10-score game, and then, okay, you're sitting back in garbage time.
Right.
But, I got it as 30-20, but I think I don't think it's a layup by any means.
Yeah. So, one that I want to do now is San Fran and Dallas. I got this being a real close game.
I do too.
I got 31-27 for San Fran.
Okay. You got one more touchdown for the 49ers than I do. I got 27-24 for Dallas.
27-24.
I think it might be very similar. I think it might be a walk-off kick. I think it could be a pick while San Fran is driving down to come back and tie it at the very end. Maybe it's Trayvon Diggs. He's been snooping it all year. I think Jimmy, especially with his thumb issue, I think he's prone to make a mistake when you need him the most.
Last week it was in the first half, but second half it was killer Jimmy.
Yeah,
Jimmy, he came out and just fired the ball everywhere.
And they tend to not do that during the postseason. During their last run, they did not really give him the reins as much as he probably wanted, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think Jimmy's going to have a good game, but not a good enough game. I think Dallas, one of their scores might be on defense, specifically special teams. Could be punt, kick, whatever. Block punt. It could be. I think there's going to be something weird. Dallas scores in a weird way.
Like it's almost meant to be.
A snap over his head. There's something weird going to happen, and they're going to get 7 points in a way that they're not thinking they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And
I feel the opposite.
It's going to be enough.
Because it's Dallas, I feel like there's bound to be a play that goes against
something. Yeah, no,
right?
Totally fair. Yeah.
That's the first game we've picked opposite so far.
Yeah, that is. This last one, I think, is the closest game. Well, actually, it's tied because I had the Patriots winning by 1. So I've got a 1-point victory in this one. I won't say who yet. I think it's going to be a nail biter, man. I think it's great that this is the Monday night game. And ended up, I thought whatever team was in this slate was going to have probably the toughest spot because they're going to have. They're almost guaranteed to play Sunday next week because I can't. Monday, Saturday is beyond unfair. So I don't think the team that wins this game will be playing soon, but they're definitely at a disadvantage playing Monday.
Maybe
Monday late.
isolating this week alone, you get an extra day of preparation, an extra day of rest from last week.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's beneficial going into this game.
Yeah.
But you'll feel it next week.
Yeah.
The winner will feel it next week.
I don't necessarily love and this is the first time this is happening. This is the first time there's been a playoff Monday night game ever. Usually it's been 2 games on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Last year they did 3 and 3. So this is the first time that it's been 2, 3, and 1. So as a standalone game on Monday, everything else will be decided at this point. We're going to know who's playing who. Dependent on this game, the AFC is going to be decided completely. So there's going to be a lot of people watching this game. The Rams are at home. I give them a slight edge. I'm going to go Rams 28-27. I almost can't tell you why. I got a gut feeling. I think it might be. I think if this was in Arizona, I'd pick it the other way. That's how close I think these teams are.
For me, I picked the Rams 30-24.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more of a gap than what you've got, obviously.
Yes.
But I've been thinking about this all day. I was on the treadmill at the gym and I was thinking, boy, Matthew Stafford has shit the bed in the last 3 weeks. I think he has 9 picks or 8 picks.
Yeah.
And it's like, is he coming undone? Like, is he back to Detroit Stafford, right? But then I can't figure it away in my head that Arizona gets it done without DeAndre Hopkins. Without their big play guy. Like, you need a catch.
Yeah.
3rd and 12.
Yeah.
You're driving. You're on the 40 or the 45. So it's no man's land. You can't kick a field goal. It's like, who are you going to go to? You got Zach Ertz now. He's a good tight end. Then you got a bunch of possession receivers.
You've got a couple backs there, too. They should have Edmonds is back and playing.
And he went crazy.
James Conner's been a touchdown machine.
Yeah. Edmonds, actually, he had his best week of the season against the Rams in Arizona.
Yeah.
So look out for him. I really want to pick Arizona here.
Yeah, no, especially because of the way yours matched up with the 49ers. Like, the winner of that game will go to Tampa.
Yeah.
And I don't hate this scenario because I think if the 49ers and Cardinals win, that's ideal, I think. I think on paper especially, that's 2 upsets. I hate hoping for 2 upsets.
Yes.
Because I can't see it happening twice. Besides New England, I've pretty much picked all favorites. I think a lot of them are close though, so I can see myself splitting these games, going 3-3. Honestly, picking the playoffs is very difficult.
Right now, yeah. Just looking at it, the Rams game I want to flip, but I'm keeping. And like I said, like it's so razor thin for me, the Patriots and Bills game.
Yeah.
But like I said, I got to stay with the Pats.
I almost went with the 49ers, but I feel comfortable enough in that potential Dallas-Tampa Bay matchup that I'm not hoping for it, but like I said, I can't see 2 upsets coming. So like Tampa can only play Dallas, the Rams, or Arizona. I like Dallas out of those 3 matchups.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a hard pick again, but I think overall the NFC could be a jumbled mess next week because you're looking at 4 strong teams coming out. The AFC is really up in the air because if the 3 teams move on that I have moving on, and I believe we picked the same in the AFC, correct? So we're looking at Tennessee, who's not a blow-me-away team where I'm like, oh, that team's dangerous. You really, they're dangerous, but you don't have to, they're not Green Bay, just to put it in perspective. And then the Bengals, like I said in that analysis in that game, I can't see either team who wins that matchup doing anything.
Their defense is a sieve, right?
And
Derrick Henry's going to run right through it.
Anything New England does at this point is gravy. I'm just happy they're there. And then the Chiefs, obviously, is a team to beat who everyone's looking to knock off before they even get that far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the AFC is pretty wide open. The NFC is wide open because there's so many strong teams. So, I mean, this is anybody's ball game.
Yeah. I'm excited now for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
bring on Saturday.
Yeah, like I'm ready to start watching now.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's watch these games.
Well, I guess that'll sum it up for episode 2. What do you think? Call it?
Yeah, that's all we got for this week. These will get shorter. Don't worry, you don't listen to us jabbering on for 2 hours every week. The less games that there is coming up and getting into the off season, we just want to start before the playoffs because this is where obviously we're excited to start watching the stuff. So last week and this week is probably the longer we'll go on the longer end, and especially as the off season comes, we'll be trying to put out during the regular season and playoffs. We'll be doing one a week. Try to get it out for Wednesday, or we might move around days next season when it starts up. We'll kind of see what's going on. But for right now, we'll be out every Wednesday up until, and we'll probably do one like a pre Super Bowl, and then we'll post Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And then after that, we're hoping to go one a month. And
like whenever we get enough news topics to get to an hour, I'd say
in just at like the Super Bowl's in February. Free agency is in March. The draft is in April. So every month there's like a big event. So we'll probably do like a pre-draft and a post-draft or something like that. So there might be a rare occasion where we do 2 a month or bi-weekly, I guess if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So that's the plan right now. We'll do 1 a week through the playoffs, and then next season when it starts up during the off season, we'll do 1 or 2 a month, depending on that. And if something big ever happens, you never know.
Emergency.
Aaron Rodgers gets traded in the middle of July or something. We'll pop on. We'll do an emergency one. But for right now, we'll be back every Wednesday. So I just wanted to mention, too, that we posted these on Facebook and stuff. We don't have a large following by any means. So if anybody that doesn't know us personally, feel free to share our stuff, like it, comment. If you want to hear any topics or a specific team covered, because we're more in depth with Tampa Bay and New England. But if somebody is a Packers fan or somebody is a Dallas fan or somebody...
Which I hate.
We're not going to talk about them too much. No, I'm kidding. But no, if anybody wants to hear anything specific, a certain topic that we haven't touched on, feel free to tell us or comment or whatever. But just
Agreed.
we're not looking to become the number 1 podcast on Apple and Spotify and all that. But
we're coming for you, Joe Rogan.
we're just looking to we're just talking. If anybody hears us and wants to share with your friends, like I said, we're sharing with ours. So if anybody that we don't know personally, feel free to share it around. If you know anybody who likes football and wants to listen to us jab around about our crap for a couple hours, a month to share a video and we thank everybody that's sticking around so far and listening and checking us out and taking in all our talking, because I'm done for this week. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm done too. Yeah.
Let's take off.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.
Peace out.